Christian, you can't be a neuroscientist unless the old chestnut of the mind-body problem kind of every once in a while, like malaria, keeps coming back and infects you. Yeah, right. The world not. Yeah. And so I'm always looking, and I've worked on this and thought about it for decades, always looking for new ways to approach it. Yeah. And can the arts, which you've introduced to me through the aesthetic cognitivism program, can the arts make a contribution? Does it deserve a seat at the table for the mind-body problem?
Well, certainly in the sense that the arts, fundamentally involve, in the first instance, perception, right? You start there, right? That there's a type of perceptual experience that is special in a way that you begin to characterize it as aesthetic experience. You're encountering something, and you can get in all kind of tricky definitional problems, which we try to avoid. We just say, well, we know what we're talking about, sort of, when we're talking about aesthetic experience. So the question is, what can engagement with the arts maybe tell us about how perception works, or maybe reveal inadequacies in the way we think about it, because we're focusing on perception, in the context of simple problems like, navigating a space, getting out of a room, or doing simple tasks, which is important, building block. But to get to something really complex, like aesthetic experience, where you have multiple sense modalities working together, it could change your understanding about how the mind works, right, in terms of functionally, and then creating, in a sense, the explanandum. What is the thing to be explained? Well, until we have an explanation of how the mind and the mind-body problem that doesn't just explain things like color perception or hearing, but something as complex of how does the mind take a perceptual experience that is very complex, and then how does that become something that signifies something else, right? How does the mind come to? How do we come to the conclusion that there's some signification going on that isn't just about the perceptual inputs that the mind is piecing together, in a lost way.
So I see the problem really is, it really bifurcates into two parts. The first part is, can the arts enrich what we think is the mental, the mind? Yeah. So, for example, I remember when I heard in Baltimore Mahler's Fifth Symphony live. It was a transcendent experience, right. But that happened one time like that, and I've heard the symphony dozens of times, and it was never like that. Yeah. But it was, there were better performances. The critics would say other performances were better, but one affected me differently than the others. And why did that happen? What is it? What is it about the mind? It was, it's integrating all different kinds of things: reward systems, obviously oral, memories, personal experience. I mean, that enriches an understanding of the mentality. So that's category one. That's what we need to explain. Yeah. And the arts can certainly contribute to that. Yeah. So the second part is the harder part, in a sense, and that says, can the arts then go to the next stage and say, and give a sense that, what is it that makes the mind, and there the fundamental question, is it anything beyond the physical brain in our heads? I mean, nobody can prove an answer to that, I don't think. Right. But can the arts give any greater feeling to that question? Well, in the sense that in the sense that if you think about what's happening in the context, of your experience of Mahler Symphony, right? So there's, you've heard it many times, and the perceptual inputs, what you were hearing, would have been very, very similar. Of course, it's never identical. This is a video performance, never the same twice, but it's still the same. And yet, in one case, there was something, you could characterize it as sort of epiphenomenal that went beyond, that wasn't present in the case of the other situations, which were phenomenally similar, right? But then you had something else happen. So the question is that something else? I mean, to use it sort of philosophy of mind parlance, is that something else, something different,
or just, a little eddy in the experience that just didn't occur in the other case. But, it's just something you ate, that day, or, so that it's really just nothing but, and again, but, or in what context will we come to the conclusion, though, that no, that doesn't explain, the nothing but type explanation. Is just like, no, that can't be sufficient, right? So that doesn't exhaust the explanandum, explains only part of it. So I think maybe in the sense that it shows the limitation, it can show up the limitations of a particular approach to the mind or the mind-body problem. So that, well, does it account for something as significant as whatever it is that's happening once we come to a better understanding of it in the context of aesthetic experience?
My sense is that there could never be an absolute dispositive proof one way or the other about what the mind is related to the body, but that the arts maybe enlarges the possibility that there is something beyond, because we occasionally feel that. You can explain it away, but at least it makes the question more poignant and more effective.
Yeah. Or as I heard David Brooks say, whatever you think about recently in a talk at an Aspen Institute event, that whatever your view of the soul is, it's hard to escape the idea that there's something about you that can't be seen, felt, tasted, touched. There's something more than.
And the arts can contribute to that understanding.
Yeah, and without getting into all the metaphysics of, well, what is the soul? What kind of things? Well, I don't know, but there's something there, and the arts can certainly contribute to your sense that there really is there is something more than it means to be human or to be sentient.